This podcast was created as a part of Podcast Lab by India Film Project in association with Anchor by Spotify. Polygon turned MATIC is India's first unicorn crypto startup in less than 3 years of its existence on digital exchanges. It hosts multiple NFTs across the globe, it makes Ethereum more accessible in the decentralized space, and it makes gas fees a part of history. Hello, my name is Anshuman Sharma and you have tuned into What's in Altverse. It is a show where I talk about unique projects that have carved out their niches in the growing decentralized world. Every week, I will talk about altcoin for your growth investing. Keep listening to know more. This week's episode is about the Polygon, aka the MATIC. Polygon is an interoperability layer 2 scaling solution for building Ethereum compatible blockchains. Polygon, which began as MATIC network, strives to solve the scalability and usability issues while not compromising on decentralization and leveraging the existing developer community and ecosystem of an established blockchain, such as the Ethereum. It is a sidechain scaling solution for existing platforms to provide a better scalability and user experience. Since its upgrade, the project is known as Polygon, while its native token is called MATIC. Throughout this episode, I may use these names interchangeably, so please bear with me. Before we dive right into the problem, let us briefly understand what networking layers are for the context of this episode. In this episode, when I talk about layer 1 solution, I refer to the main blockchains such as the Ethereum or the Bitcoin. This is the base layer of blockchain protocol. Layer 2 solutions are projects that sit on layer 1 utilizing their important characteristics like security and decentralization in order to improve the network as it expands. We will get to this in the later part of the episode. Also, just for the reference, what is a blockchain trilemma? Don't worry, here's a quick one. It is a triangle with security, decentralization, and scalability on its 3 edges. A decentralized network can only provide any 2 of the 3 benefits at any given time. So let's say you created a protocol that capitalizes on security and decentralization. You will end up losing scalability of the protocol. Here we go, let's talk about the issue here. Let's talk about the problem. What motivated this project to be what it is? We've seen how mainstream blockchain projects have captured mass attention but still have not been able to achieve mass adoption due to their poor scalability and user approachability. There are several other smart contract platforms that boast of higher transactions per second, but they have too succumbed to the blockchain trilemma, staking decentralization in order to improve transaction speeds. What many don't understand is that blockchain is still a relatively new phenomenon, and various projects that aim to improve the shortcomings of one another by creating their own blockchains are only increasing the dilemma of choices among developers, which are not many in comparison to the consumers. This results in the degradation of the whole cryptosphere. If I had to summarize these problems, following points will help you understand them a better. First and foremost, they have slow transactions. Most blockchains are slow because of a smaller throughput and a considerable block time. Other consensus algorithms solve the problem at the cost of decentralization. Bitcoin processes less than 10 transactions per second, Ethereum processes less than 20 transactions per second, and their Visa counterpart processes more than 2000 transactions per second. This is the barrier that the blockchain needs to overcome. Second of all, they have low transactions throughput. There is an intentional time lag in public blockchains during the production of blocks so as to ensure proper block propagation. This causes the block size to be smaller for quicker propagation. Third point is more on the technical hand, which involves the size issues. So you see, as the blockchain grows larger in size, it becomes considerably difficult for node owners to store and verify transactions on a low-end physical infrastructure, such as your laptop, or your home desktop, etc. So what this point essentially means that as and when the blockchain grows, there is a considerable amount of data that needs to be processed every time a node owner validates a transaction. So let's say there was a blockchain with 10 blocks and there are 5 nodes who validate the transaction. All those 5 nodes need to have those 10 blocks in order to validate the transactions in the 11th block. But as soon as the size grows larger in number, for example 100 blocks or even 1000 blocks, the next block that needs to be verified requires data from the previous block. And storing this data on your low-end physical infrastructure is not feasible for smaller node solutions. Therefore, as the size of the blockchain increases, the blockchain centralizes in a manner. Last of all is the high transaction fees. With an increasing interest in the decentralized world, there are multifarious tokens and their economies, and they have flooded the market. Any transaction that you make requires an on-chain transfer, and most of it is routed through the Ethereum network. And this on-chain transaction comes at a heavy cost in order to incentivize a large subset of validators. Enter the Polygon. Polygon is an interchain scalability solution that gives an infrastructure for creating interoperable blockchain networks. Like the Internet of Things, Polygon wishes to create an Internet of blockchains to provide smoother connection to multiple chains. It intends to provide scalability and better resources to altcoins while capitalizing on Ethereum's characteristics, that is security, liquidity, and interoperability. Let us understand this better with the help of an example from Polygon's white paper. So when a user is transferring an ETH or a ERC20 token on the Ethereum network, they have to wait for the confirmation of the block, which ranges anywhere from 14 seconds to 20 seconds. Even then, the users have to wait for multiple block confirmations to be sure of the finality of the transaction. Let's say you're buying a coffee or paying tokens to watch a movie. On each transaction, you're not only paying a high fee, but also waiting for it to be confirmed. That serves as a deterrent for users wanting to use the service. Moreover, during peak loads, a large number of transactions clog the Ethereum network and gas fees increase on each transaction in order to obtain faster confirmations. Here comes the MATIC network, which is a solution to overcome these problems. A user deposits a cryptographic asset in the MATIC contract on the main chain. Once deposited, tokens get confirmed on the main chain, and then these tokens will appear on the MATIC chain using the MATIC deposit bridge. The user can now transfer these tokens to anyone they want almost instantly and for almost negligible fees. Whenever the user wishes to, they can withdraw the tokens to the main Ethereum chain. But this is how MATIC works in reality. But I know that we are more concerned with how MATIC solves the shortcomings that we discovered earlier. So you see, we talked about 4 shortcomings: the slow transactions, slow transaction throughput, size of the blockchain, and high transaction fees. For the first point, slow transactions, MATIC/Polygon uses a high throughput blockchain with consensus provided by a selected set of block producers. It then uses a proof of stake layer to validate the blocks to the Ethereum blockchain. There's a brief discussion of this architecture in the later section. Let's come down to the second point, the low transaction throughput. So Polygon solves this problem by using something called block producing layer, which produces a block at a very fast rate. This can provide it a theoretical throughput of millions of transactions per second. Then we come down to the size of the blockchain, the point which is most important to the node validators. The primary layer on a Polygon network is free to store only the blocks from the previous checkpoint to the next checkpoint, while all previous blocks have been submitted to the main chain. This creates extremely low fidelity proof of stake nodes that can run on low cost machines with low storage. Once again, this architecture will be discussed in the later section. Just bear with me for some more points. High transaction fees, last of all, and most important to each one of us. Polygon overcomes this by servicing a large number of transactions on the block producer layer, ensuring low cost and subsequently batching proofs to the main chain. Before we discuss the architecture of the Polygon network, let's enlist those stakeholders that are involved in this process. There are the end users that provide transactions. There are dApp developers that create applications on top of the protocol. Then we have the stakers. Then we have the block producers. They are people who are chosen by stakers. Now we come down to the architecture of the Polygon network. So the Polygon network functions in 3 layers. There's a base layer or the MATIC layer where the blocks are produced. It is also called the block producing layer. Then you have a proof of stake consensus checkpoint layer. And then you have the Ethereum main chain. What happens on the ground level is that the block producers are chosen by the stakers to create MATIC blocks. They are low in number in order to generate the blocks faster. Now, for every few blocks on the block layer, a proposer will be chosen among the stakeholders to propose the checkpoint on the main chain. Here, the checkpoint lies on the second layer above the base layer. What happens is that a batch of blocks is created and is sent forward to the POS checkpoints layer, wherein the checkpoint is validated by all the validators. Once it is verified with the validators, the checkpoint is pushed to the main chain. This checkpoint or the batch of blocks that were pending for transaction confirmation is then pushed to the Ethereum main chain. This is how transactions are processed faster and efficiently as compared to the Ethereum blockchain. In simpler terms, the Ethereum blockchain is kept only for transactions and applications that are most important in value. The MATIC chain takes over small transactions, processes them, validates them, and then pushes it to the main chain in batches. This avoids the congestion on the main chain. We've seen what Polygon/MATIC network is. Now let's understand about the MATIC token. It is designed to be a utility token which functions as the unit of payment and settlement between participants who interact within the ecosystem on the MATIC network. MATIC tokens provide the economic incentives to encourage participants to contribute and maintain the ecosystem of the MATIC network. In order to participate in the consensus process on the MATIC network, users would be required to stake MATIC token as an indication of that user's commitment to the process. This marks the end of the project discussion and the token discussion. Let's understand this company's vision and how its founders made it the project that we see today. People at Polygon envision creating a world where people and machines collaborate and exchange value globally and freely without gatekeepers or intermediaries. A world in which communities thrive unconstrained by artificial borders and archaic regulations. MATIC/Polygon was founded by Jayanti Kanani, Sandeep Nailwal, and Anurag Arjun. Jayanti Kanani started trading Bitcoin and Ethereum in 2017. At that time, he was working with housing.com. He also created a platform where you could bet on theories of Web series. During the 2017 crypto hype, he started focusing more on crypto. This is when he started MATIC. He approached his co-founders, Sandeep Nailwal, who was at that time working in Delhi at a startup, and Anurag Arjun. Sandeep Nailwal also created an election automation project for BJP Delhi. He worked at Deloitte and Wellspin too, but he was inherently inspired by entrepreneurship and he did not enjoy the work atmosphere. All of them joined the hands together and started the MATIC project in 2017. We've all seen how MATIC has scaled new heights by each passing year, though it has only been 2 years since its listing on different exchanges. A big part of Polygon's success can be attributed to the fact that the project wishes to capitalize on the existing blockchain's popularity and framework instead of creating its own blockchain with problems from blockchain trilemma, as we discussed. It receives wide arrowed support from the Ethereum's community. There are over 300 projects currently operating on it. Its most popular projects include Polymarket, Aave, SushiSwap, along with NFTs from celebrity investors like Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey, and even Mark Cuban. The team was also involved in a COVID relief initiative in ways no one could imagine. Polygon amassed a massive $2 million in donation within the first 20 hours of the campaign's launch, which is simply not possible with Web 2.0 and traditional ways of finance as I know it. I don't know about you guys, but I know this is not possible. It takes at least a week to only open an account. Maybe it could be less than a week or 3 or 4 days, but minimum 3 days are required to open an account with a banking operator. We've also seen how state government of Maharashtra is relying on blockchain and is interested in Polygon along with one of India's largest tech firms, Infosys. They've shown their interest and are in talks with Initiative to support the blockchain space. We've come this far, we've known most fundamental things about MATIC. Now, let's talk about a few figures that I think were important to understand how MATIC fully stands at the current space. MATIC currently stands at 21st position on the CoinMarketCap listing with a fully diluted market cap at $15 billion. It has a circulating supply of around 6 billion units with a cap of 10 billion units. The top 10 hodlers have around 75% of the total supply, with top 100 hodlers owning around 91%. 70% of the hodlers are making money at the current price of the token, while only 3% of the users have held it for more than a year. It reached an all-time high of $2.63 5 months ago in the last bull run. It generated a massive 8,500% returns in the last 12 months with over 24% in the last 1 month. These figures speak for MATIC's growing popularity and functionality in the crypto space. This brings us to the concluding part of this episode. Polygon is poised to provide developers and consumers a smoother and more interactive vision of the blockchain. The governing body aims to support various base chain dApps built on Ethereum currently, with EOS and NEOS in future, to build and migrate their user-facing applications/transactions on the MATIC network. The network is also open to award grants and fundings to third-party app developers to build use cases on top of MATIC network. Some examples of the different channels that the project anticipates to host on the networks are payments. MATIC aims to provide a simple interface for users, payment APIs and SDKs for dApps, merchants, and users to instantly accept or pay in crypto assets. Atomic swaps will enable users to make and receive payments in the crypto assets of their choice. MATIC is also ready for decentralized exchange. The support for decentralized exchanges is inevitable as the network boasts of all characteristics required, such as faster and cheaper trades with better security. MATIC is big on NFTs. We've seen how many projects right now stand on MATIC Polygon. Games will also be a huge part of the MATIC projects, as developers can choose to build games on sidechains which capitalize on an already fast, efficient, and secure chain. Future prospects also include a native mobile wallet to store your private keys safely. This is what MATIC aims to be, and we've seen how MATIC has grown in the last 3 years. While making this episode, I have zero MATIC, but during the course of this episode's research, I think I'll buy MATIC tokens right away, right after I publish this episode. That's it for today's episode. If you liked it, please do not forget to rate it on Apple Podcasts. Do not forget to follow it on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, JioSav, and anywhere that you listen to this podcast. That will be a great help to me. Share it with as many friends and family members as you can. Let them know what cool projects are there in the crypto space. And yeah, that's it. Until next time, keep investing, keep learning, keep growing, and make wise decisions. Choices. Thank you.